The setting sun bled across the evening sky, painting the city in hues of orange and purple as Thomas strolled through the bustling streets of New York City. The urban symphony of car horns, distant sirens, and chattering crowds was a familiar lullaby to him. Little did he know that tonight's melody would soon play an extraordinary note. Thomas was your average guy next door. He enjoyed the simple joys in life, a good book, a cup of coffee, and the warmth of his family's love. He worked as a carpenter, his hands bearing the proud marks of calluses, a testament to his honest labor. He was a man of integrity, kindness, and quiet strength. But fate had a funny way of testing such men. As the twilight deepened, Thomas found himself drawn to a grand mansion on the edge of town. The house was a behemoth of Victorian architecture, its ornate facade hinting at the opulence that lay within. Its reputation preceded it. Many had tried to buy it, but the price was as forbidding as the house's brooding presence. However, there was a twist. The owner, rumored to be a recluse, had declared that he would sell the house for a song to the first person who could solve a peculiar riddle. And that was how Thomas found himself standing before the iron gates of Blackwood Manor, ready to face the enigma of the house. He stepped over the threshold and found himself in a world of rich mahogany, flickering candlelight, and ghostly silence. Dust motes danced in the sunbeams that slanted through grimy windows, illuminating furniture draped in white sheets, each piece whispering tales of a bygone era. As he explored further, he found a library with thousands of ancient books, a ballroom frozen mid-waltz, and a conservatory with wilted roses that had once climbed towards the light. Everywhere he looked, Thomas saw the remnants of a vibrant life silenced by the sands of time. Then he heard it, a voice like rustling leaves echoing through the cavernous halls. It led him to a mirror-backed sitting room where an elderly man sat in a wheelchair. His face was obscured by the shadows cast by a grand piano. "You have come," the old man rasped, his voice like dry leaves underfoot. "So you wish to purchase my house?" "Actually," Thomas replied, stepping closer, "I came because you promised the house to whoever could solve your riddle." The old man turned slowly, revealing eyes that glittered with an unsettling light. "Ah, so you seek knowledge," he said with a mirthless smile. "Very well, I shall test you. Answer my riddle correctly, and the house is yours. Fail, and you join the countless souls who have lost their way here." Thomas felt a chill crawl up his spine, but his thirst for the house and its mystery pushed him on. "Ask away, sir," he said, his voice steady, despite the tremor in his heart. The old man leaned forward, his gaze boring into Thomas. "I have no voice, yet I speak to you. I have no body, yet you see me. I have no hands, yet I point the way. What am I?" With those words, the old man sank back into the shadows, leaving Thomas to wrestle with the riddle. Thomas pondered, running his fingers along a leather-bound book on a nearby shelf. Time ticked by, measured only by the creaking of the old house. Suddenly, inspiration struck. He snapped his fingers and exclaimed, "Is it a mirror?" A faint chuckle echoed through the room. "Indeed," the old man said, his voice tinged with surprise. "Few have solved my riddle, but you have proven yourself worthy. You may have Blackwood Manor." Thomas couldn't believe his ears. He had solved the riddle. The house was his. A broad grin split his face, and he shook the old man's hand, his heart soaring with triumph. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I won't disappoint you." And so, with the house in his possession, Thomas set about restoring Blackwood Manor to its former glory. The dusty furniture was uncovered, the withered plants were revived, and the vacant rooms were filled with the echoes of laughter once again. Thomas made it his home, infusing it with the warmth of his spirit. One day, while sorting through the attic's clutter, he stumbled upon a hidden compartment containing a collection of letters tied with a faded ribbon. Curiosity piqued, Thomas sat down to read them. The letters were from the previous owner's daughter, Isabella. In her flowing script, she wrote of her undying love for a dashing young soldier named Charles, who was set to return from war. But as the months passed without his return, her letters grew more despondent until abruptly ending. The final letter spoke of a broken heart and a haunting premonition that her beloved would never return. Intrigued and touched by Isabella's tale, Thomas became consumed with finding out what had become of Charles. He scoured historical records, piecing together the story of the handsome soldier. And finally, in a forgotten military archive, he found the answer. Charles had died valiantly in battle, his body laid to rest in a foreign soil. Overcome with emotion, Thomas decided to honor Isabella's memory. He planned to find her grave and place a memorial stone to commemorate her lost love. But there was one final mystery. Where was she buried? With the help of the town's historian, Thomas traced Isabella's lineage, following the path that led him to an old church at the hill's edge. There, amidst the weathered tombstones, he found her final resting place, a simple grave marked only with a worn headstone. As Thomas stood before the grave, he felt a profound sense of closure wash over him. He placed a bouquet of lilies, her favorite flower, on the cold marble. In that moment, he felt a deep connection to the girl whose love story had unfolded within these silent stones. His work at Blackwood Manor was done, he thought as he prepared to leave. As he turned to go, he noticed a hollow in the shape of a box beneath the headstone. Kneeling down, he pried it open, revealing an old wooden box. Inside lay a stack of faded photographs and a leather-bound journal. As Thomas examined the photos, he gasped. They were pictures of Isabella and a man who looked strikingly similar to the old man from the manor. Could this be the man she had loved and lost? As twilight painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold, Thomas returned to the manor. He locked the front doors, ensuring he was alone. Then he opened the journal, its brittle pages whispering stories of the past. He read of a deep love shared between Isabella and the author, a love that transcended even death. And then he learned the truth. The old man was Charles, Isabella's lost love. He had survived the battle, but the wounds of war had left him physically and mentally scarred. He had returned home, changed, unable to connect with the world as it had moved on without him. So he had retreated to Blackwood Manor, haunted by memories and clinging to the hope that Isabella still awaited him. With each passing page, Thomas felt a surge of understanding and empathy for the couple whose love story had unfolded within these silent walls. Suddenly it all made sense. The riddle, the recluse, the unanswered love. Charles had loved Isabella with a devotion that defied even death. His spirit had lingered, seeking solace in the house he had once shared with her. Thomas closed the journal, his heart heavy with the weight of their unspoken love. He knew what he had to do. Spent the next day organizing a memorial service in the grand ballroom of Blackwood Manor. The townspeople gathered, drawn by the tale of star-crossed lovers. They filed past Charles's coffin, paying their respects to the soldier who had given his all for love. As the ceremony began, Thomas approached the altar, his voice echoing in the vast room. He spoke of Charles and Isabella, their enduring love, and the bittersweet journey that had brought them together after a century. When the time came for the final goodbye, Thomas carried Charles's coffin out of the house and towards the waiting hearse. As they drove to the cemetery, the townspeople followed, their somber procession a tribute to a love that had endured time itself. At the graveside, the old man's spirit seemed to find peace as Thomas lowered the coffin into the ground. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves overhead, as if nature itself was sighing in approval. Afterward, as the crowd dispersed, Thomas lingered at the gravesite, his heart full. In that moment, he understood the true meaning of love, loss, and the enduring power of the human spirit. He had come to Blackwood Manor seeking a house and had discovered a timeless love story. And as he stood there, the setting sun casting long shadows around him, he knew that he too was part of its legacy now.